Hey, good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? It's a Monday. Hey, I finally did something correctly. Thank you, Jesus. How's everybody doing this Monday? Monday, August. No, this is the last day of July. Shoot, I'm trying to hurry everything up. Last day of July, going into August. The kids are starting back to school. I know the parents and grandparents are enthusiastic. Hey, this is Odd, your Dutch uncle on Smash Bros. Radio, the only digital radio station located in Jefferson County, Pleasant Grove, Birmingham, Alabama. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you. If you have not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can find us, Smash Bros. Radio. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, as well as Instagram. So please like, follow, share, and subscribe. As for myself, you can find me on practically all social media. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So please like, follow, share, and make us part of your morning. We appreciate you. Got a lot going on. I was going to avoid talking about this, but since we're going to talk about priorities, boundaries, and expectations, this might fit into what we're going to talk about today. Carly Russell was arrested, booked, photographed, charged. The only thing that set me off, or the only thing that confused me the most, was her picture. Her, I don't know what you call it, but when you are booked, the picture, that the smirk, the smile that she had on her face, was really kind of heartening and haughty to me, because I don't think that she really understands the gravity of the transgressions. I don't think she understands, or I don't think she even cares about what she's done. I really don't. I don't think that she has grafted, or she has even thought about um, what she has uprooted, what she has started. The number of volunteers that gave up their time, gave up their energy, gave up their finances to try to find her. And then on top of that, when you notify Mrs. Harris to help you, and Mrs. Harris sets up the search parties for you, I don't think that she understands exactly what she has really done, because when she did that, or when her parents or whoever got in touch with Mrs. Harris to ask, would Mrs. Harris help? I don't think they understood or understand exactly the emotional turmoil that was created, that was developed. Um, and then to think about all those other missing individuals that are actually missing. And you have no conscientious, you have no conscience, you have no type of humanity about you. Because I think that she thinks it's a joke. And I'm only going by her picture. A mugshot, that's what you call it. I'm only going by her mugshot. Uh, and I could be wrong. Now, I'm glad that everything is whatever. I'm not asking for blood. I'm not asking, but I think that the consequences are not grave enough, or not severe enough for her to get understanding. I don't think that if there are any family members that are trying to protect her or trying to harbor her, I think they should be brought up on charges too. But likewise, you have to keep in mind those mutants over in Hoover, they aren't through with her yet, because they only have charged her with the misdemeanor because that's what's on the books, and they can only go by what the statutes are. That's why you have to get in touch with the legislators to put some teeth, to put some bite, to put some gravity in the statute and make it a felony. But what she doesn't seem to understand yet is that those mutants over in Hoover are not finished with her because they have to add up the finances, the resources that were wasted. And I don't think that she understands that when it comes to her career as a nurse, she's plastered all over the place. She's internationally known. So now she has a reputation of being a liar, being a deceiver. So again, I ask humbly that you keep the Harrises and the Blanchards family in your prayers because Mrs. Harris needs a lot of support and a lot of prayer. Because I would wager that as sweet and as kind as she is, I know that she's going through some hard times, and then to have been lied to have been misled. And I think some type of restitution should be placed upon Miss Russell. And if she's to be a nurse, I think that the university that she is attending should look at her character because her character does not dictate that of a nurse, whatever that may be. And that's, you may say that, well, that's kind of harsh. But what she did was harsh. What she did was unacceptable, unjustifiable. That was arrogance. That was pompousness. It was insufferable, incorrigible, downright malicious. And then to have had a party, a birthday party, sets the tone. So that in itself sets the tone for the entire family. So the entire family has no integrity. And I think that the mother, whoever the mother works for, should look at her integrity, look at exactly who she is. Because I don't think that Carly Russell understands exactly what she's done. I don't understand. I don't think she really cares. And I hope that I'm wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But at this point of no, I don't think that she has any type of regret for what she's done. I really don't. I don't think that she has any regrets for what she done. I think that was premeditated because of the way that it followed out. I think that it was premeditated, and whoever was an accomplice with her should be brought up on charges too. And I'm wondering that since she's been charged with a misdemeanor, does that play a factor? Because I know that with being a teacher, we had to be we had to go through the Alabama, sort of like the FBI. They had to do an investigation to make sure that we didn't have anything in our past. So I don't know if that's going to play a factor. But I just think that what she did was just, I just think that it was uncalled for. So which leads us to now. I hate to continually talk about COVID, but we don't seem to get a grip have we acknowledged the fact that we are still living under COVID? And I don't think that we actually understand the gravity of what it is doing to us mentally, spiritually, financially. Because, as I have stated numerous times before, we're no longer living in the norm of what we were raised. Now, we were already isolated per se, but when it actually comes down to being more secluded, the kids that were affected the most were the ones that were in school during COVID when they had to close the schools down. And again, have we actually learned from that? Because again, if it had been handled initially efficiently, then the side effects would not have been so dramatic as what they are. And then, coupled with that, and then I digress for a moment, for the Republican Party to have a criminal to come and talk to a dinner, that says a lot about the integrity of the Republican Party here in Alabama, much less the Republican Party itself. For the Alabama Republican Party to have a criminal, one who has no integrity, no substance, that in itself tells you that the Republican Party is diseased, is a cancer. And those individuals who are Republicans, and you are not taking up, or you're not trying to get your party back, well, then you are an accomplice. And because if you're not voicing your opinion about it, well, then the Republican Party needs to be in the condition that it's in, because you are allowing it to occur. You're giving those individuals who are corrupt, who are corrupted mentally, corrupted spiritually, corrupted integrity, you're giving them the power. Because as I have stated numerous times before, the Republican Party of Lincoln, of Barry Goldwater, of Ronald Reagan, that party no longer exists. That is just a shadow. That's just a shell. And that's kind of frightening, especially here in Alabama, for you to have that type of lack of integrity, that type of lack of its substance. So it all comes back to exactly what are our priorities? What are our priorities? What are we expected to do? What are our expectations? When it comes to us as constituents, when it comes to us as voters, when it comes to us as parents, as community leaders, what are our priorities? What do we want? There has to be some type of common ground or foundation to build upon. There has to be certain priorities that are the same. Family should be the priority. What are your priorities for your family? What are your expectations for your family? Now, those expectations are going to vary between each unit. And even in the family itself, the cousins are going to have different priorities, are going to have different expectations. Now, there are going to be some similarities, especially when it comes to the unit as a family as a whole, But as for a household, there are going to be some type of slight differences. And you know your family. You know the dynamics of your family. You know how the elders, how the matriarch and patriarch, what they set up as priorities, what they set up as expectations. What did the elders expect when it came to the younger ones in the family? What were their priorities? And again, maybe we need to have a, let's see. What is the definition of priority?
Priority means the fact or condition of being regarded or treated as more important.
The fact or condition of being regarded or treated as more important. A thing that is regarded as more important than another. The right to precedent or to proceed before others. Safety of the country takes priority over any other matter. Playing football wasn't high on my list of priorities. So exactly what are your priorities? What are your priorities? Especially when it comes to you raising your children. What are your priorities when it comes to your children? Do you even have any type of priorities? Do you even have any type of expectations when it comes to your children? Because that's what I was taught. That's what most of us were taught during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We had priorities. We were taught priorities. We were taught expectations. There were certain things that we were expected to do because of the family. Go to school, make good grades, graduate either trade school or college, getting a job. And that is another thing that is baffling to me, because you have an individual who has 25 years as a forklift driver, 25 years, has benefits, has a home, has 2 or 3 cars, and he's looked down on because, oh, you gave up. How did he give up when he's worked at a job for 25 years where he has a home, he has vehicles, he has benefits? How has he given up? And what are your expectations when it comes to a relationship? Because I think that there's a misguidedness or blindness, or even is it stupid or simple? And then you have situations that occur to where a father is taking care of his child like he is supposed to, responsibly, but the mother of the child has other children from other men, and she's utilizing the money that the one that's doing the responsible way, using his money for the other children. She's splitting it. And then wants to get mad because he's questioning what is she doing with the money for his child. I mean, it's baffling to me. You making this father of one of your children, to you holding him more responsible than you are to the other individuals. It is not that father's place to take care of those other children. But at the same time, He knew that you had those other children, and he should have been cautious. He should have been very cautious, especially if those other fathers are not stepping up to the plate and doing what they're supposed to. Priorities. And people fail to realize when you are put on child support, parents have to understand that money is not yours. That money is a child's. So for a parent or someone to say, well, we don't need your money, you're wrong. Because that's not your money, that's your child's money. And if you don't want it, well, then don't use it, but you still need to accept it and put it away for future endeavors. Put it away for college. Because that's not your money. So technically, you're robbing your child of their money unjustly because of your pride. So, priorities. Where did we go wrong? And when did it start that we stopped having priorities, that we stopped having expectations when it came to our children? I look at the neighborhood that I live in, that I reside in. You have a teenage daughter that you don't even take out the trash. I don't care if it's a male or female, daughter or son. What are their expectations? Do they have responsibilities? Because see, we had responsibilities. We had priorities. We had expectations. We had responsibilities. All of them were wept up into one huge tapestry. Now, I understand that the way that I was raised probably would not fit now because of the way that of the environment, because of society now, but there's still some foundation that can be utilized to build upon. And I understand that with the schedules, sometimes you're not able to eat breakfast together. Sometimes you're not able to have, but you should make time to have at least one meal as a family unit. That's a priority. At least one, whether it's breakfast or whether it's supper. And I get confused with supper and dinner because I've never understood this concept. I don't know the difference between supper and dinner. People have tried to explain it for me, and it confused me even more. But it should be a priority that you have at least one meal as a family unit, that you sit down. There are no electronics, no cell phones, no nothing at the table. And you talk about things that are happening. How was your day? What was going on? How was school? How was practice? Because, see, that's where the communication starts. That's how we build communication skills. We start at the family. Sometimes the family who have an extended unit, but it's time that the school is not always a focus. And then, too, with the way that society's changing, the priorities have been fucked up. And this concept that Christians are being persecuted, get over it. Priorities, expectations, responsibilities. And then on top of all of that, you have to set boundaries. And it's never too late to set boundaries. Really, it's never too late to come up with priorities or expectations or responsibilities. Now, if you've never had it before, you are going to get some feedback from it. And it's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be agreeable. It's not going to be liked. But that's not the point. Because we have failed to realize, in all actuality, younger generation, teenagers, adolescents, they want some type of structure. They want boundaries. They want expectations. They want to know what their response. They want all of that. Now they're going to rebel and they're going to say, "Nah, I want that." But in actuality, they do. Think about when you were young. I appreciate the way that I was raised. I couldn't do shit. I appreciate the way that I was raised. I had a better understanding. See, my parents, my grandparents, the elders of the family lived through the Depression. They lived through World War One and Two. So, because of their experiences, they taught the other generations how to do things. And pretty much, I've gone back to the way that I was when it comes to, especially the diet. I'm not eating that much meat. It's mostly fruits and vegetables because you don't have to have meat every day. You don't have to have meat every day. That's a myth. You're just familiar. You're just used to having meats every day. You don't have to have meats. And then when things were being prepared, we didn't have an option. We didn't have choices. They didn't ask us, "What do you want?" And then they would come up with three different types. No, we didn't. Everybody ate the same thing. It wasn't this one child wants one thing and you have four different. No, we ain't gonna play that game. You either eat what's on this plate or you go to bed hungry. Priorities, expectations, responsibility. All of those wrapped up into one. So some things should stay the same, some things should change. Society's changes. And people don't seem to realize that education, public education, is a reflection of society. So if society is fucked up, education is going to be fucked up. And if you do not wish for your child to do certain things, well, then you need to take your child and put him in a private school or parochial school, and taxpayers' dollars should not be utilized for that. That's your choice. That's your choice. Now, there are certain things that I don't agree with. There's a time and a place for everything. And I think that when you are a child or when you have children in an elementary school, there are certain aspects of life that they should not be around because at that time their minds are developing. And I think that some certain groups have gotten out of hand because they have become too bodacious. They have become too bold, too vogue with their lifestyles. There's certain aspects, there's a certain way that dictates that a doctor and a lawyer, same way should be with education. We've lost that standard. Now, some things should change, just especially when it comes to being an attorney. That just because someone wears their hair natural, that does not make them unprofessional. Because you can still have natural hair and still keep it professional. So there's certain things, but when it comes to being a teacher, the standards have been watered down. And I'm not apologizing for that. There's a time and place for everything. And as a parent, I should be able to choose that no, I do not wish for my child to be introduced to this right now. They're not old enough to understand. You're technically confusing my child. A parent has that right. But a parent has to have boundaries too. That educational system has to set up boundaries, priorities, responsibilities, expectations when it comes to that parent. See, in life, that's life. That's life as a whole. That's life 101. You have priorities, you have expectations, you have responsibilities, you have boundaries. So it does not that does not it it has to do with life itself. It has to do with society as itself. It's just not one certain aspect or one certain element. It doesn't have to do with just family. It has to do with family, has to do with church, has to do with life. Because that's technically what makes us successful is when we have our priorities coupled with responsibilities, coupled with expectations, coupled with boundaries. That's what sets the stage because it gives us a blueprint, it gives us a skeleton, gives us a chart. And I think that somewhere along the line we've lost it. And I don't know how to get it back. But again, it depends on the family unit because certain priorities are higher on the list than others. And that's how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be a cookie cutter type where everybody this isn't Firehouse 100. I think that's the name of the book where everybody had to look alike, had to resemble each other. That if a ballerina was able to jump higher or to leap higher, she was weighted down so that way she wouldn't exceed anybody else. I don't want that. I want individuals to have the freedom to decide what, when, where, how. And with that comes a framework of your priorities, your responsibilities, your expectations, your boundaries. There should be some common ground. And whether or not we wish to accept the fact or not, we are in an invisible war with individuals who wish to take everything away from us on purpose because they are feeling scared. Now you can't stop progress. You can slow it down, but you can't stop it. And that's what they're trying to do in their heads. They're thinking that you can't stop progress. You can slow it down, but you can't stop it because it's going to come. Time is going to make time for it to occur. Change is going to come. But at what cost? COVID has stopped kids from socializing. COVID has stopped kids from reading. And again, I think there should be a report on post-COVID. Have the kids rebounded from COVID? And see, that goes back to the parents. What did you do while your child was out of school? And I don't want to hear where you had to work. Well, okay. And what's your point? What were your priorities? What were your expectations? What was your responsibilities when it came to your children? Did they read? Did you read? Have you read with them? I was read to. I read before I even went to school. And see, we didn't have kindergarten back then. We had first grade. I knew how to read, to write. to color. Because the elders took time with me. And I understand you have to work. I understand. But you chose to have a family. So what you going to do? What you going to do? Priorities, expectations, responsibilities, boundaries. And you can start them now. It would scare the hell out of everybody, but you can start it now. Have a family meeting. Have you ever had a family meeting? Do you have family meetings where you talk about, well, this is occurring, I don't appreciate this and this, you going slack. You didn't clean up your room. You didn't empty the trash cans. You didn't clean up the bathrooms. The kids, see, we don't even hang we don't even hang clothes out anymore. Does your child know how to wash clothes? Do they know how to fold clothes? Do they know how to dry clothes? See, my folks worked. Nothing's changed. My folks worked. There were priorities and expectations and responsibilities that I had. Mama would wash the clothes. I would have to hang the clothes out. And let me tell you, I had to hang the clothes out. I had to walk my sister to her school. And I still made it to junior high school on time. Then when I came home, I had to take the clothes down. I had to fold the clothes. I had to put the clothes in the proper place in whichever room. I didn't put them up. I put my stuff up. But if I had mama's stuff, went to mama's room and so forth, so on. Mama would soak beans or whatever overnight. And then it was left up to me around 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I would rinse the beans or whatever she had out. I would put them on the stove, and they would be cooking while Mama was at work. And by the time Mama came home, the clothes were off the line. They were folded. They were in the proper place. There was the entrees were halfway done, and then she would come home and she would fry whatever. Priorities, responsibilities, expectations. That's what I had to do. I couldn't go outside until everything was done. I couldn't turn on the television. Back then you had those little box television, a thing called Philpox. I didn't know that the television tube or whatever little thing, when the television heated up, I didn't know that it took a while for that damn TV to cool down. So that's why mom and daddy and my grandparents always put the damn keys on top of the television, because they were testing to see if the damn thing was warm. And if it was warm, that meant that I fucked up and I didn't do what I was supposed to. Responsibilities, expectations, priorities. I was a slow child. I was slow. Oh, but I had priorities. I had expectations. I had responsibilities. And I had boundaries. My mom was 16 years old. My dad was 19. My mama never treated me like her equal. And my mama always, in her way, let it be known that I'm not your equal. I'm your mama. I knew the distinction. I knew the distinction. Sure did. I knew the distinction. Sure did. And I never wayed from that. Now, I would, don't miss, I was an obedient child. I was mischievous at the same time, but I was an obedient child. I wasn't into pain. Because I used to think that my grandmother beat me for things that my mama did. Sure did. Hmm. But I had expectations. I had priorities. My mama was not my equal. The elders were not my equal. I knew, and see again, I knew I was raised to know your place, stay in your place, accept your place, priorities, expectations, responsibilities, boundaries. I didn't have a problem with my place, and I stayed in my place, and I accepted my place because back then you couldn't challenge whatever they said you did, whether you wanted to or not. You did it. At breakfast time, you had to clean the table, had to wash the plates, and then you had to take your ass outside to play. And you stayed out there the entire time. And you may have had a sandwich, but you ate outside. You drank from the water fountain, from the water hose, from the faucet outside. Now you could come in to use the bathroom, but do not tarry. Couldn't go outside with a t-shirt on. Had to have a shirt on. Had to have shoes on. Back then, you had play clothes. You had church clothes. You had school clothes. Responsibilities. Expectations. And that's what it has to be now. That's what it has. We have to get back to the point to where we have priorities. We have to get back to the point to where we have expectations, responsibilities, boundaries. That's what we need to get back to. It's left up to us to do it. Sure is. It is what it is. Priorities. Expectations. Responsibilities. Boundaries. The four necessities. Priorities. Expectations. Responsibilities. Boundaries. That's what I had. It's not hard. It's not hard. I appreciate y'all. Don't know how much I do, but I love y'all. If you have not done so, again, like, follow, share OZZz Bros Radio. You can find us on, again, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, as well as TikTok. As for myself, OZZz, your Dutch uncle, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. Like, follow, share, subscribe. I appreciate you. Know your value. Know your worth. Know that you are the one that sets the obstacles. And again, most importantly, know that I love you more than I love my luggage. And I'll see you Wednesday. Y'all take care. The live stream on the show. On the show. The live stream. On the show. The live stream. On the show. live stream on the show.